Hello, it's Gabby here for you. Before we jump onto this week's podcast, I just want to let you know about 2 ways that you can work with me. First of all, I do one-to-one coaching and I do that via Zoom, so we can jump on a Zoom call at a time to suit you. The second thing I've got for you is an online coaching course that's 12 modules that you can download straight away now. There will be a link somewhere around these podcast notes. And this is the course that I've designed, and it's got everything in it that I wish I'd have known when I finished cancer treatment and I was lost. So you can download that course now and you can start working towards making this your happiest and healthiest year ever. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello there, it's Gabby here from Confidence After Cancer, and I hope this finds you well. This week's episode is all about one of my favourite topics. It's one of the biggest learnings from my journey, and that is self-love. And if you're listening to this on the day that the podcast is released, it is 14th February, Valentine's Day, St. Valentine's Day, a day when love is celebrated. And whether you believe in celebrating Valentine's Day or not, I think there's a lot we can all learn from learning more about self-love. And that's the topic I'm going to cover. So I'm going to talk about what is self-love. Is it arrogant? Is it a bit self-indulgent? And what can it really do for you if you do learn to love yourself? How is that going to help you in your life? And what does self-love look like if it's a concept maybe you're not familiar with? Well, what sort of things would you do if you loved yourself? How would your life be different? And then I'm going to leave you with a little exercise that's very easy to do. That's come from one of my favourite authors, Louise Hay, in her wonderful book, You Can Heal Your Life. This is something that she used to work a lot with people, and whatever was troubling them. She believes that a lot of issues in your life stem from a lack of self-love and a lack of self-care. So I'm going to leave you with that little exercise. It might be something that you want to try. So first of all, is self-love, is that being arrogant? Is that being self-indulgent? You know, when I was a child, I was told, it was almost a sin to love yourself. And I know people around me, the adults around me would say, oh yeah, that one, she really loves herself. And it was a real insult. But I don't see it like that. And I've learned a lot now about self-love. And I mentioned before about Louise Hay, and her book, You Can Heal Your Life, was a big influence on my journey of healing, not just medically healing myself, but actually healing the way that I thought about myself, healing the relationship I had with myself, actually helping me just to be more positive and just to look forward when I was in some pretty dark times. That book I'd highly recommend it. So going back to what is self-love, I mean, it sounds great, doesn't it? But what does it really mean? Does it really matter? And to me, self-love means that you truly accept yourself and you treat yourself with kindness and respect, and you nurture your growth and your well-being. So self-love is not only about how you treat yourself, but also about your thoughts and feelings about yourself. So when you can think about self-love, you can try to imagine what you would do for yourself, how you would talk to yourself, and how you'd feel about yourself that reflects love and concern. When you love yourself, you do have an overall positive view of yourself. And that doesn't mean that I'm positive all the time. And that's really unrealistic. You know, I can sometimes get upset or angry or disappointed, but I can still love myself the same way that I would somebody else, you know, somebody that you're close to that has made a mistake or done something wrong. You don't stop loving them just because of that. But quite often we're our own worst critics and we're very harsh on ourselves. I certainly used to be, and a lot of people that I work with now, part of their journey is learning to love and accept themselves. So what does self-love look like? Well, I can give you some examples of what that can look like in real life, if you like. It can look like saying positive things to yourself, forgiving yourself when you make a mistake. It can look like meeting your own needs and making sure your needs are being taken care of. And that can be being assertive if you need to, not letting others take advantage of you or abuse you, you know, setting some boundaries. Again, a lot of people I work with, that's a big part of the changes that they need to make in their life. And it's not for me to tell anybody what changes they need to make. You know, often people will say, oh, such a body, she makes me feel like this, or she always does this to me. But we all have choices. And so self-love to me is about taking responsibility for those choices and making sure that your needs are met just as equally as the people around you. Self-love to me is prioritising your health and your well-being, something that we all could take heed with. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't really prioritise our health and well-being until we get sick. And, sometimes you think, well, did I really have to learn that hard lesson? But for me, I did. But I do prioritise my health and well-being now, and not just my physical health, but my mental health. I know it's what it does to me if I'm around people who, sometimes you hear people say toxic relationships, but I have been around people that didn't make me feel good about myself, and I've got choices. So I can respond to that, or I can choose to spend less time with those people. So self-love is about spending time around people who love and support you and build you up, people who praise you, and avoid people who don't. And sometimes it can be the closest people to us who think they're being helpful by, not making us too big-headed, by pointing out the things that they think we should do. But actually, we all need cheerleaders, if you like. That's part of my job as a coach, is to be somebody's cheerleader. As a coach, I don't tell people what to do, but I'm their biggest supporter. And when I work with them and they've set their goals, I'm there to cheer them on. Because sometimes it's a two-man sport, achieving something that you want to work with a coach. Self-love also sometimes can look like asking for help. Quite a lot of us pride ourselves on being independent and being the go-to person and the person who can get things done. But sometimes loving yourself just means asking for help if you need to. Okay. Self-love can also look like letting go of grudges or anger that is holding you back. And I've done this myself, and it's a lesson that I've had to learn, is to stop those endless thoughts going round and round in my mind, loving myself, forgiving myself if I've made a mistake, and just working on letting go of anything that's going to hold me back. You can't change the past. Another thing that self-love looks like is recognizing your strengths. We've all got strengths and weaknesses, and that's great. You might want to work on your weaknesses and work on improving them, but recognize your strengths. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of you. Sometimes it's just being proud of yourself for getting out of bed in the morning, but be proud of the things that you've achieved in your life. There's nothing wrong with a healthy appreciation of yourself. Okay. Loving yourself also means valuing your feelings. Making healthy choices most of the time. Yeah, none of us are perfect. I like to indulge sometimes, but it's, again, making healthy choices most of the time. And living your life in accordance with your values, pursuing your interests and goals, challenging yourself if you need to, but also holding yourself accountable. And again, that's where working with a coach can really come in. Somebody who's going to keep you accountable if you say you're going to do something. So self-love can also look like giving yourself healthy treats, accepting your imperfections, setting realistic expectations, and noticing your progress and effort. So all of those things, they are, to me, that's what self-love looks like. It's not about me thinking I'm better than anybody else. It's thinking I'm as good as anybody else. And that is something that I struggled with for a long time in my life. Don't know if you can relate to that. So that's what self-love looks like to me. And I said I was going to leave you a little exercise from Louise Hay's wonderful book, You Can Heal Your Life. And this is something that you can do to improve your self-love. And Louise used to do this with her clients, and it's called the mirror exercise. So it's every morning. Most of us look in the mirror in the morning, maybe when we brush our teeth or first thing we do. Louise says, I ask clients to pick up a small mirror, look into their own eyes, say their names out loud, and say, I love and accept you exactly as you are. Now, this is difficult for so many people. She says, seldom do I get a calm reaction, let alone enjoyment from this exercise. Some people will cry or are close to tears. Some get angry. Some belittle their features and qualities or feel uncomfortable. Some insist that they can't do it. Louise says, for years I looked into the mirror only to criticise what I saw there, recalling the endless hours I spent plucking my eyebrows, trying to make myself look barely acceptable. Amuses me now. I remember it used to frighten me to look into my own eyes. This simple exercise shows me so much. In less than an hour, I am able to get to some of the core issues that are beneath the outer problem. And those are wise words coming from Louise. That's an exercise that you can do and just try it yourself. You may feel uncomfortable, but the whole thing to me is loving and accepting yourself. You are not perfect, my darling, because nobody is. And don't expect perfection from yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you make a mistake. You're human. You're going to make mistakes. And so on this day, Valentine's Day, I'll just leave you with the thought. And as Whitney said, everyone's searching for a hero, but how about making yourself the hero of your story? How about not looking for somebody else to come and fix you, because there's nothing wrong with you? But you can work on your own development. You can work on your own happiness. And if you need help with any of that, I'm here for you. You know where I am. Reach out to me. Thank you so much for listening. It means an absolute world to me that you are listening to my podcast. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to have you as my listener. Thank you so much, my darling, and I will speak to you very soon. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay sane. Take care. Bye-bye.